The moment when you make it is like, cool, now's where like the work you do matters the most. YouTube and self-publishing feel sort of like cousins. I'm blessed and cursed to be paid to do my hobbies. It's not about getting paid to do it. It's about having the free time to dedicate as much time to it as I want to.
I'm Naomi, and this is Gamerant's Character Select, the show where I sit down with the most talented voices in gaming. Today we have Minecraft YouTuber and published author Andrew Givler, otherwise known as Sigils on the interwebs. Andrew has managed to balance two very different creative careers. His love for Minecraft has helped him grow an audience of 1.49 million YouTube subscribers, and now is a published author with 6 novels under his belt. So, what did it take to get him here? What does a day in the life look like? How does he feel about YouTube and where it's at today? And what's his latest obsession? We get into it. Thank you so much for joining me on today's show. I'm excited to talk with you because we know each other as acquaintances, but I've never done like an in-depth interview with you before. So as somebody who's in the industry and has been in a long time, I really appreciate you taking the time.
Yeah, no, of course. I'm excited. I'm happy to be here.
Yay. Do you prefer Sigils or do you prefer Andrew as like the go-to way to address you?
It just depends. It doesn't matter. Usually it's indicative of where you know me from, but like Andrew is fine. My mama calls me Andrew, so you know it's got to stick, so, at least somewhat.
Yeah. Speaking of your mama, no, I'm just kidding.
We have her.
We have her on the show. Here she is. Do you have like a go-to origin story you like to tell people about, how you came to be who you are, how you came to start doing YouTube content, anything like that?
Man. The origin story for YouTube is a funny one because I have been doing YouTube stuff almost since, not quite like the beginning of YouTube. Like I think YouTube came out when I was in high school, but in college, a whole bunch of things happened like at once. I'd always wanted to like do creative stuff. I always wanted to write, do things like that. And in college, the first generation of DSLR cameras came out, and Adobe released like the more modern version of their editing software that was like actually affordable. Because like right before then, the barrier to entry to like film things, like film was expensive. Editing software was like you couldn't just like go film stuff. It wasn't possible the way that it is now. And so a bunch of my friends who'd always been interested in films in college were like, well, we've always said we wanted to do it. Like the barrier has suddenly vanished. What if we did? So we started filming a lot of like comedic action shorts, like very like Freddie Wong-esque, like that era of YouTube. And then we had one go super viral for the time where like Smosh picked it up when they were the biggest channel and they like did it in their weekly roundup. Like Mari posted about it and it went nuts. It was for a while. There used to be a website that tracked YouTube subscribers per hour. We were the #2 most subscribed to channel on YouTube per hour behind Jenna Marbles. Right. Okay. Like this is that era of YouTube.
Yeah, totally.
And YouTube reached out to us. This is like before the partner program existed or anything. And they were like, hey, your video is doing really well. We're experimenting putting ads on videos and splitting it with the creators. Would you be interested? We were like, oh my gosh, yes. And then we had to fill out like a 20-page legal document that was like every single asset, every single noise, like where we got it. We had, like crazy level of specificity that you don't have to do anymore. And then they had to like review it by hand. And by the time it was done, the video had already had its like 15 minutes, right?
Right.
We made like $200. And I remember the reaction between my friends was that the rest of the guys in the group were sort of demoralized. They were like, we had this video that like peaked the internet for a moment and we made $200. And I was like, they paid us $200 to be an idiot. I'm going to keep doing that. And so eventually that like really just hooked me. And eventually the other guys decided to go and do other things, pursue other paths on it. And that was right when gaming was starting to take off. And I like film and creating all that, but I don't like all the aspects of it. I don't want to edit. I like writing and directing and acting. I don't like editing and producing and doing all the other pieces. So I lost a lot of the other framework that was helping me make these things. And so I was like, gaming's something I can do that sort of sits inside my wheelhouse. And I love games. I love video games. So from then it was like my love of YouTube that sort of segued over to like, why don't I try gaming? And then I started working in the gaming industry a little bit. And then I was fortunate enough to have kind of my channel take off. And then it's something what I've been doing more or less for like the last eight or 9 years, I think, at this point.
Wow. Yeah. So it's been a while. It's been a minute.
I've been around.
Yeah. And you say that you started as a lover of film and gaming, or was it always like, was when you wanted to do film, what was your like inspiration or the thing that really got you wanting to do that?
Oh, I would absolutely love to like show run a TV show one day or something like that. I love storytelling. Like we'll probably talk about it later, but like I grew up wanting to be an author. I was doing that, and then YouTube sort of fell in my lap, and I ended up pursuing that first. But that kind of stuff was always interesting. It was just much harder to like get started back then because of like it was so expensive to do anything like it. The indie like scene didn't exist. And so it was sort of a like, oh, this is a way I can sort of pursue this interest that used to be closed, right? And so it was like, oh, a new road has opened up. We're going to take a right. Let's go this way and explore and see what it is. I don't want to say that like I always knew that YouTube would be a career, but I thought it might like open doors where like it would be my resume for like getting to direct something, or I didn't really know exactly how all the cards were going to fall out, but I was like, this is a way I can try some of the stuff I've always wanted to try. Let's do that.
When you were a kid, was there something that you watched regularly or a game that you loved or something like that that kind of spearheaded this idea in your head to want to do this for a living on top of becoming an author? And then did you end up pursuing that in school, or what was that path like?
I have loved to read for as long as I can remember. My parents really fostered a true love of it in me as a young kid. My father would read like The Lord of the Rings, Lloyd Alexander's Book of Three, Chronicles of Narnia. Like those were read to me at like 3. And so that was, I have been reading my whole life. And so that I can't really ever remember a time where I wasn't interested in that. And then, we were coming of age where like video games were really taking off, right? Consoles were appearing, and, things like that. And I just always also had a love of video games. So it was, they weren't necessarily connected, but then sort of this path opened up where it was like, oh, this is cool. Minecraft also was like the kind of game I had always wanted to play. And when it came out, I was in love, and it was a very like natural progression along those lines. As far as education, I have a liberal arts degree. I studied Latin and Greek and philosophy. Yeah, I know. And now I play video games for a living, so I don't really,
Right. Yeah. The juxtaposition. Did you what was your first console? Did you have a favorite game? Did you have like a thing that you really loved about gaming that just like took it by storm?
Man, my first console that I owned was I saved up my allowance for like a year and a half to buy an N64. And that was to play GoldenEye. I was always like a competitive shooter kid from the beginning. Like every Friday, my friends would be over. We'd order a pizza and we'd be playing some sort of shooter game up until I went to college. Like from 13 until I went to college, basically. That like actually my earliest gaming memory is being about 6 or 7 years old, and my father's a civil engineer, and he took me into his office on like a Saturday because all the CAD techs in his office had used the land there to play like the original Quake. And so I am like, all of a sudden, like, you can shoot other people. This is so cool. So that's probably where it all went wrong. Other than that, like the game I think I have played the most, ooh, that's hard to say. Guild Wars 1 was a huge obsession for me. I played like a ton of competitive Guild Wars 1. That's actually where I get the name Sigils from. That's like where like it was my first like online serious game where I became like a part of the community and everything. And then after that, I tried to play Call of Duty and Halo competitively for a while before I switched to being internet funny man and that kind of stuff. But those have been like the big ones that have really pulled me through.
Yeah, those are some great ones. Well, how old were you when you started playing those? Do you remember?
It was actually a little later. I mean, I played Call of Duty since it came out. I didn't find Halo because I didn't have an Xbox. So like Halo missed me in the beginning. It's actually a wild story. In college, I worked for an internet service provider doing like phone tech support. And one of my coworkers, who's still one of my very good friends to this day, I thought I was pretty good at Call of Duty, and like I was competitive and I would play every night, and and I started talking to him about it. And he just kind of gave me this funny look, and then he was like, "Have you ever heard of something called MLG?" And I was like, "No, what's that?" And it turns out that like he had been playing competitive Halo since it came up, exposed me to like this whole side of esports I didn't even know about. sucked me in. Next thing I know, we were going to, I started playing Halo with him, learning how to play. He taught me. And like we went on to compete in several MLG tournaments together, traveled the country playing video games. So he sort of like also, I had the interest, but I was unaware of like some of the bigger world of it. And he was like, oh, here, this is what you're looking for. And I was like, oh, it is. And so I blame him, honestly.
That's a good friend, though, I would say.
Maybe.
Yeah.
He might have ruined my life. Who knows? I could be a doctor or something by now.
Yeah. Would that have been something that you would have pursued?
No.
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 So you started getting into gaming. You were exposed to this whole world. At what point were you like, okay, I can quit my everyday job and this is my full-time thing now?
That is a funny story. I was working for the largest Minecraft server in the world, which was called Mineplex. The top two largest Minecraft. There's another one called Hypixel. We were the two competitors.
How'd you get involved in that?
I was in the Minecraft server community for a while. I built my own Minecraft server that did okay, and then I got hired from that to run a server for a really popular YouTube group called Minecraft. I ran their public server for a while, and then I got poached from there to come help Mineplex because they were scaling up. At the time, they were doing something like 30 to 40,000 concurrent players on their server. They were getting like 20 million unique players a month. Like it was a fully operated, like essentially indie dev on Minecraft, right, as a platform. At the time, like gaming has ballooned a lot since then, but at the time it was like if you pulled out Hypixel and Mineplex and put them just as Steam games, we would have been like in the top 10 games in the world for like player count kind of thing, right? Yeah, it was crazy. It was crazy stuff, and it was like unprecedented territory. So I got hired to help develop like design game content for them, and eventually ended up being in charge of all the content going on there. And then, no game lasts forever. Sort of what happened is we hit a point where we weren't as popular. They needed to downscale, and I had an offer from a really good friend of mine who is a YouTuber named Jerome Assetti, Jerome ASF, to come and work for him. He had offered me a chance to like come work for him, be in his content, help him come up with content, and also sort of get like exposure, but like real exposure, right? Like from a YouTuber at a very serious audience who was like, come be a part of, like, we'll help you build your channel. Not the traditional like exposure. It was like real exposure.
That's good.
And I was like, I think I was like 28 or something like that. And I was nervous. I was like, he called me, gave me this offer, but it was like a big pay cut and a big risk. And I like, part of me was like, this is really irresponsible. I don't know. Like, I really want to do it, but like, I have a pretty good job. The next morning I get a phone call from Mineplex and they're like, we're laying off half the studio. You don't work here anymore. And I was like, hey, Jerome. Yeah, I think I'm going to do it. So there wasn't a moment where I was like, it's time. I was sort of shoved in that direction, and I was like, okay, we need to figure out how to make this work. And so we did. And it took about 6 to 8 months to really get to a point where it was like working. But then it did. And I got really fortunate. I was lucky to have people watching out for me who kind of opened doors and taught me things and helped me sort of accelerate. One of the things that we did, we actually were one of the first people to do content for gaming on Amazon Prime Video. Cool. And so my friend and I did a Roblox content on Amazon Prime Video that like people didn't know about under fake names. And it did really, 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 really well. And so that actually funded both of us to start our YouTube channels and get them up and running, where we're doing that full time now. But like we started basically because somebody offered us this chance to do Amazon Prime content. And so it was like we found little weird jobs to make it work.
Yeah, totally. You grinded for a little bit there, it looked like. So was that like a gradual rise for you, like your YouTube channel, growing it, seeing people like enjoy your content? Like, how did you maintain that? And then how did you find like the humor and like your edge? Like what made you stand out, you think?
I think I was really fortunate to work with a bunch of guys who just had done it for a really long time and really knew what they were doing. And a lot of the big YouTubers, especially if they have a career that lasts more than like, your initial burst, those guys are really, really calculated in a good way. Like they're just aware of what they're doing that works and how to do it and how to distill that down, right? It's a performance. Yeah. It's a job. It is a skill. So people like Jerome, Sunday, guys like that really taught me how to do it. I just had like phenomenal mentors. Yeah. And so you know, anybody who gets anywhere on YouTube a little bit has like, you know, some natural charisma. Like that's just, it's required for it to work. But then they really taught me how to like find what works, you know, how to hold attention, how to speak to an audience and that kind of thing. So I just had a lot of really good teachers that really refined it. And then it started slow, but then it began to snowball. And then also the pandemic really like changed everything because like the audience size ballooned. So we had been having steady growth. I remember the very first time that YouTube like paid for all the staff that works on it, all my bills, everything was the month before lockdown. So I was like, I'm doing it. And then the world shut down and I was like, I'm not doing it. and then during the pandemic, people really turned to gaming. And so it ended up, you know, really being a benefit to the channel. But for a minute, it was like, I just got here. Don't let the world end now.
Right. You're like, I'm just getting started here.
Yep.
And so, okay. So you have your channel, you're seeing the success, you're in a stable place. And how do you maintain that? How would you tell somebody right now also trying to get into it because you kind of went about it a different way than I think most YouTubers have gone about it.
Yeah, I definitely did. I think the thing I think about a lot or that I describe it is that like making it is not the moment where you get to stop working. That's actually the moment where you have to like really not maybe work the hardest is not quite like is maybe that's like toxic work ethic, but like the moment when you make it is like cool. Now's where like the work you do matters the most, right? You're doing all the work to get a chance to play in the big leagues, but making it is the big leagues, such as it is, right? And that's when your career is actually defined by what you do. So I think a lot of people, you know, they hit whatever milestone's been in their dreams or whatever, right? And then they're like, I did it. The thing is that in my opinion is not the doing of it. It is like how long you can hold it or maintain it. Beyond that really defines like how your career goes and like how the longevity that you get out of it. So, and again, I was fortunate to work with guys who just have done it for like a decade or longer, who have had, you know, unbelievable careers. So it helped keep me like humble, I guess, or like in perspective. Like even when something really cool happened to me, I could like turn and look at my friends and be like, cool, I'm just getting started. Like, you know, not put me in my place. That sounds dramatic, but just like I had examples to look to that like kept me on the path.
Mentors. And so it put it in your mind of like, I should make sure that the long run is, you know, the important part. Like the longevity of this is the important part. So as somebody who's been on YouTube for such a long time, do you have any insight or like perspective or things that you've thought about that kind of give you an idea of what YouTube might be like in the next 5 to 10 years? What are things that you're seeing? I know it's a really hard question to answer, but we're all wondering like what somebody who's been on every side of YouTube what their perspective might be on that.
It's so different and it's changing a lot right now. Yes, the answer is different. There's a whole bunch of like evolutions that happened, and a bunch of it was driven by the pandemic too. I think that was really fascinating to me because I got a ton of emails from parents during the pandemic who were like, I've never understood why my kid wants to watch somebody play a game instead of play a game. But now that we're all stuck at home, I've watched one of your video, you know, some of your videos with him, and I get it now. And I just want you to know that like this is something that we're doing to like get through this like stressful time, which is really cool and really touching. But it was also really interesting to me that like the barrier began to go away, right? Like the older generation was starting to be like, oh, okay, I see what this is, which like changes people's watching habits. At the end of the pandemic, the number one place that YouTube was watched is actually now smart TVs, whereas like 5 years ago it was smartphones, right? And the thing that's really interesting about the viewer experience of those two different things is that somebody on their phone is incredibly likely to switch away, right? You get a text, you get a whatever, boop, I'm on to the next thing. And it's really, really easy to be like, I'm not feeling this video. Let me find this other one that I like more. On a smart TV, it's almost the opposite, where you find one video and you kind of don't want to touch it, right? Like it's maybe not your number one focus. You have people over, you're playing a board game. And it's a pain to search for stuff. So longer videos started to really take off where, you know, people are like, oh, cool, I can throw this on in the background. It's the next 2 hours. That's completely different. The reason that like characteristic YouTube, like all the dead space cut out, like, like moving super fast, was like to never
Right.
lose a phone person. And then all of a sudden on a TV, you look like an idiot, where somebody's like leaning back. They're like, why are you so shh? Right. So like that's an evolution that's been happening. But now people are going back outside. So phones are rising again. But for a minute, we all changed our like delivery pattern and then had to go back. So it's all over the place and evolving. And then, of course, YouTube Shorts is also like a whole other beast.
All right, so that's the future of YouTube. What is the future for you? Because once you've done YouTube, I feel like the next thing is, I don't know what the next thing is after that.
I mean, I don't know. I would like to write full time. I think that's like my next like sort of big dream. What that looks like, whether or not I'll be able to, hard to say. I also have an interest in like maybe, one day getting into like film, like maybe writing and directing and that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
So part of the creative journey is like you have ideas, but you sort of go where the wind takes you.
Right.
So that's right now the thing that I can control is I would like to write as a more significant portion of my time. And so I'm trying to write as much as I can to get better at it, to get more books out there, to kind of like build up that side of things. So that's probably like the next and most immediate thing that I'm focused on.
Yeah. How do you write so many books while managing a big YouTube channel? That seems like the hardest thing to do in the world to me.
Well, step one, be like slightly obsessive.
Right.
Step two, just be like a little not good at the work-life balance. But part of it is like one of the things that motivates me more than anything else is I used to have a corporate job. I hated it. Really don't want to go back. So I have a real healthy fear of having to get a job again.
Right.
I will do a lot to not have a job.
Right. Do you think you'll ever reach a point where you're like, okay, I've done all this work. I've made enough money. Like I'm good. I can get like retire, do something else.
I'm nowhere close to that. And even if I don't know, somebody gave me a buttload of money like tomorrow, I don't think I would do much different. Like I would maybe do it a little slower. But I'm blessed and cursed to be paid to do my hobbies. So a lot of this is like I was writing books before, like since I was a kid. I've always wanted to do this. So part of it is I want to do it as a career so that I can. It's not about getting paid to do it. It's about having the free time to dedicate as much time to it as I want to.
Right. Which would be full time if you wanted.
Yeah.
In an ideal world, I guess.
Yeah. Well, I'm limited by the amount of time that I can put into things right now. Right. Like, I think I get better with every book, but if I had more time, I could do more. So I would love to be able to give it like more of my focus. And
you've done 2 series. You have a completed series, deck collection series, which includes 5 books, right?
Yeah, but it's not completed. It's still ongoing.
Okay, so you're
hopping between the two. Yeah.
Wow. Okay, so how many are you looking to make in per series? Is there a limit, or you're just like, I'm just going to keep this going for as long as I can?
I think the deck collection is going to be 7 to 8.
Okay.
And Ironbound is going to be 4.
Got it. And you're 1 into Ironbound, and you're working with a publisher for that one, right?
Correct. Yes, I'm with Aethon Publishing, who is the largest independent publisher of science fiction and fantasy in North America, and so that's who has the rights for that.
Okay, and you went the route before doing self-publishing. So tell me the difference between traditional publishing and then doing it yourself, and then kind of why you went that route first.
Yeah, it's kind of a funny story. I sort of got not pushed into it, but it was, like I said, you follow the wind. So I finished writing Soul Fraud during the pandemic, which was really when the YouTube channel was at a peak, more or less. And I was sort of like, and now for the easy part, this should be so easy to sell.
Right.
And my manager, who's a former agent who knows like a lot of lit agents, took it around and shopped it for me. And we got a whole bunch of really polite, even encouraging passes where people would be like, this is really creative. This is really, whatever. It's not for me. And my manager is like a former agent. She's no nonsense. And she was like, I don't know what that means. I know these guys. Like, they would tell me
Right.
if they didn't like it. She's like, but they're not saying that. And she's like, so I don't know. And like, we couldn't figure it out. So I started looking up other authors I'd been reading, you know, who were doing stuff. And I was like, okay, well, you know, like, what are the avenues these guys are using? Maybe I can sort of like slide into some DMs or something. And then everybody I kept looking up was like independently published, self-published, self-published, self-published. And I was like, okay, something's going on that I don't understand, because I thought that was like for losers. And then it turned out that like there'd been this huge shift that in the last 6 years or so, Kindle has really like digitized self-publishing and changed it. And so I started doing research, learning about like the pros and cons, and it was all just like really familiar. You know, when you make a YouTube video, you come up with an idea, you film it, you edit it, you get a thumbnail made, you come up with a way like to title it, market it, whatever. And then when you self-publish a book, you come up with an idea, you write it, you edit
Right.
it, you get a cover for your book made, and then you figure out how to like market it. And I was like, wait a second, hang on.
I've done this before.
Yeah. So I often say to a lot of the authors that I've become friends with that like YouTube and self-publishing feel sort of like cousins. There's differences, but there's a lot of like, okay, cool, I've played these games before.
Yeah.
So then I self-published it, and what we eventually realized is that the problem was that urban fantasy is not considered to be a hot genre by publishers currently. It had its heyday like 5 to 10 years ago. Like when Supernatural was really at its peak, that was when like urban fantasy, and so like cyclically, they're just sort of like not looking for it. So a lot of the agents might have liked it, but they just didn't think they could sell it.
Right.
And so that was like the thing that was going on. But I learned a ton from it, and it's you know, I got better with each book, and it's been like a real great experience. So I'm really glad that I did it. I will probably self-publish some other things too, but I would love to try working with a fully traditional publisher. Keep working. I will do some more with Aethon. You know, I like trying things.
Yeah. Man of many hobbies. And things that are successful, actually. So that's like you were saying, it's lucky that you get to make your hobby make you a living.
Yeah, no, I really can't complain.
Right. What inspired the first series, the Deck Collection series? Because it's a very unique story. Was there anything that, you know, spearheaded that idea or like got it to percolate in your mind?
Yeah. So the Deck Collection is an urban fantasy series, right? So it takes place in our world. It's set in Los Angeles, and it's about this guy who's like, he's a loser. He has a real terrible life. Nothing's going well for him. And on his 25th birthday, a demon appears and is like, hey, your life sucks. What if we gave you a perfect life? You get 10 years of a perfect life, better than you'll ever have, in exchange for your soul. The main character is sort of like, no thanks, I've seen that TV show, right? It's a classic.
Right.
And he's like, my life's bad, but it's not that bad. And the demon has a little bit of like a mentee bee. He has a little bit of a breakdown. And he's like behind on his quota. He's getting a lot of pressure from management. You know, it's just not going well.
Yeah.
And so he forges the main character's signature on the contract and then runs off into the night. And all of a sudden, this dude's life like changes overnight. And he's like, oh, that was real. Like, that wasn't a fever dream. Something,
Right.
you know, whoa. And so he now has this like ticking clock where he needs to figure out how to get his soul back. And he sort of starts to uncover this like plot and all these things that are going on. And he makes friends and enemies. There's a bunch of other adventures kind of as they go. That's sort of the overarching premise. And the idea comes because my last corporate job was I was a struggling salesman who was behind on his quota and not very good at it and under a lot of pressure from management. And one day when when I was in sales, they called us all into a meeting because somebody else had forged a signature to like re-up a contract or something, and just hoped that like this corporation wouldn't notice, and they did. And so they were like, hey, don't do that. And I was like, yeah, okay, that seems pretty obvious. But then that sort of got the gears turning, and that's where the story came from.
Amazing. What about Ironbound? Because that's a completely different genre at this point.
Ironbound is it's a Roman Empire inspired fantasy world, and I mean it probably all goes back to Gladiator, right? Like deep down, like that's probably what it is.
Right.
When I was 14 years old, I think 13 or 14 years old, I was like a real voracious reader. All the librarians at my local public library knew me by name. They knew what I was like read. I would come in like once a week and I would give them a stack of books and I would take a stack of books. And one of the women who I talked to all the time, she pulled me aside and she said, this book just came out by a really popular author. It's like in the kind of stuff that you like to read. I saw it's getting really good reviews, so I just reserved it for you.
Nice.
Here. And that was Jim Butcher's Codex Alera. The first book had just come out, which is like a Roman Empire inspired fantasy series with like elemental powers. It's super sick. It's one of my favorites. But ever since then, I was like, Roman Empire fantasy. Yes, I think I wrote my first Roman Empire fantasy when I was like maybe 16 or so. I might have been like 17. Anyway, it wasn't very good, but like I was always like dabbling with this idea. And then as it seemed like Roman Empire fantasy was sort of starting to get popular again, I learned my lesson from writing urban fantasy. I wanted to write something a little more to market. And so I was like, awesome. I've always wanted to do this. And that sort of evolved out of that.
Amazing. Would you ever go the route of like getting any of your series or your IP licensed or getting it out there in like a different sort of medium?
Oh yeah, totally.
Obviously, movie, TVs, and all like TV shows. That would be great.
If somebody wants to pay me money to,
right.
by all means, I got bills. Call, bang my line. That would be awesome. I have nothing going on currently, but I am starting to like look into how to start like shopping it and do that kind of stuff to like at least get it out there and see if we can might find some people who are interested in those sort of stories. So TBD, but I would love to. I mean, obviously it's an audio, so that's like already the first licensing of it, I guess, technically, but we'd love to do more. Amazing.
Everyone should listen to the audiobook version and the digital, get it digitally as well.
Get them all.
Get them all. Any other genres you'd want to do down the road, like another series?
Oh, I'm going to do a sci-fi at some point, 100%.
Yes. I love sci-fi.
Yeah, I love
sci-fi is
sci-fi.
my personal favorite. What's your favorite sci-fi?
Presently, it's either it's definitely like pretty close between Red Rising and Sun Eater. Are probably the two that live most rent free in my head right now.
Yeah. Did you love Mass Effect? Did you ever play that?
I mean, I played the game. Yeah.
Right,
oh, yeah. But I was a huge like Star Wars extended universe kid growing up. Like I read most of the extended universe back in the day. I haven't kept up. But yeah, like sci-fi has always been a massive love for me.
Nice.
But yeah, that would be.
Did you ever watch The Expanse?
Love it.
Loved
it. I've read them too. They're phenomenal. The books are really good.
The books are good. Yeah.
And James S.A. Corey's new series is also really fun.
Oh, I haven't started it. Maybe that'll be my next thing. I'm actually reading Twilight right now, funny enough, because I never read it.
For the first time?
Yes. I'm on book 3, which is Eclipse.
Eclipse, yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Current obsession. Is there anything that you're, besides, the usual gaming, YouTube, like all that stuff, is there anything that you're obsessed with that
Yes. I have a lot of fish tanks.
Okay, do divulge why that is? That's so random.
I like them. I have 3 freshwater fish tanks that are like fully planted, so they're like essentially like established ecosystems. I've always liked water. I was a competitive swimmer growing up. I spent a lot of time in the pool. I've always liked fish. I think they're it's calming to have them around. I think they're beautiful. It's nice. And I like the science behind it, the art of like maintaining a garden that also has animals living in it. It's cool. It's a nice little zen thing for me to do. So I have 3 currently, but I have plans for a 4th.
Oh, are you gonna go a different vibe for the 4th one? Like, how do you pick which one to go with next?
The 4th one I want to do a saltwater tank. I've never done a saltwater tank, so that's nice. All of my stuff has been freshwater. So I want to try like getting corals and doing like all the really intricate stuff that comes from the ocean that we don't have in the rivers necessarily.
Right. That's so random. I'm so glad I asked that question. Okay, what's next on the achievement list? You've done so many things. You've done all of them 110%. Is there anything else on the list that you want to do? Like maybe start a family or something like that? Like, what is your...
You did talk to my mom. What is that? That's crazy.
Will not confirm or deny.
Well, I'm single, so the family one will have to wait. But
okay. But it's something you'd want to do in the future, like
potentially. I mean,
have kids and all that.
Yeah. Yes. If the right, you follow the wind, right? So
that's right.
Sure. That would be a fun adventure. We'll see if it's an adventure for me. I would like to. I think probably like the most like the easy one is like I would love to become a best-selling author. which is something of a like a meaningless accolade, but it's still fun, right?
New York Times bestseller, right?
Right. Like, I mean, I technically am an Amazon best-selling author, but like that's different. The other ones are more how do you explain this? It's like a little more entrenched. It's a little more intrinsic. Like it means that you're selling in bookstores. You're doing like a little bit more of the traditional thing. Digital sales don't always get counted the same way. So like there are a lot of authors who are sell enough books or sell even more books than the people who are bestsellers, but they're not doing it through like sort of the established means, so they're not like considered eligible for the accounting and things like that. So it'd be cool to do like, you know, to be in stores and the kind of way that it was for books when I was growing up, you know? Because so far I'm still doing like a lot of indie stuff. We are in stores, but it's still different. It's changing, it's evolving. It'd be cool to like come full circle for little Andrew, I guess. Right.
Do you have anyone that you have in mind when you're like, I'd love a career like that? An author, perhaps, you know?
I think for me, it's a lot of pieces of other, like, I don't know if there's any one author, because so far my experience is I usually do things differently.
Yeah.
Probably less correct. Different routes. There aren't that many like YouTubers who have, you know, channels like mine who are then like, and now I'm going to write fantasy novels.
Yeah. That's true.
Hasn't been done very many times to my knowledge.
Yeah.
And so it's all evolving. It's all changing. Having an existing social media presence opens doors for me that like wouldn't for other people. So it's hard to like point at somebody else and be like that. But you know, there's a lot of people that I admire who have a lot of people who have given me like authors are so friendly. So a lot of them have like it really is. So a lot of them have just been really happy to like share their secrets. But I don't know if there's just one, like it's hard to have just like one.
Yeah. You're kind of also hoping to make your own path, like be your own thing. Yeah.
It'll be different, whatever it is, and we'll find out.
Yeah. So exciting. Anything you want to promote or tease coming up? Maybe other books or YouTube stuff?
Sure. Cold Wind, which is book 2 of the Ironbound series, is coming out May 19th. So that is available for pre-order now in paperback and digital. The audiobook pre-orders will go up soon-ish. I don't know. Okay. I don't know when. That's sort of insider baseball is when you're indie, you can't do pre-orders until it's done. So it's currently being recorded. When it's done and submitted, then we will be allowed to do pre-orders. So hopefully the next month or so. I don't know exactly, but it's available for pre-order on Amazon and at Barnes and Nobles, things like that, wherever books are sold.
So cool. And next books down the road, those are
Bloody Sands, which is book 3 of Ironbound, is coming out in November, and that is the only one that I have a confirmation for right now. Book 6 of Deck Collection is called Present Day, but I haven't started writing that yet. So
it might be. But you have the title.
I have the title. I have an idea. That's usually where we got to start, and then we go from there.
All right, last question. Top 3 favorite games of all time. I know there's definitely one that's already on that list, but
yeah, I think I'm legally required to say Minecraft.
Absolutely.
Right? Like it is the game I've played the most, without a doubt. Have I also been paid to play it? Yes, but like, you know, yeah, fair enough. So we'll say Minecraft, Black Ops 2, and Guild Wars 1. Great
picks. Classics. All right, that's it for questions. I really have nothing else. You've really I think we've run the gamut of stuff. The next time you'll be on the show, I hope that it's to talk about either your next book or something else you're doing.
Yeah.
But thank you so much for being on Character Select. It's been great getting to know you more.
Yeah,
you know, we're kind of acquaintances, but we've never like gone deep into it.
It's usually in a loud room where there's a lot of music going on. We're like, how have you been?
Right. It's like, okay, you give them like the bullet point list and that's it, you know?
Exactly.
Well, you're so great. I wish you all the best of luck. You're crushing it. You do everything like just to the extreme, which I very much admire.
Yeah, but I don't do laundry. Okay, like listen, I do things or I don't do them, and unfortunately, the laundry is a little behind. Yeah.
Bottom on the list. Honestly, same. All right, Andrew, have a good one.
Thank you so much.
Thanks for watching my chat with Sigils. You can see more great guests like Game Grumps' Aaron Hansen and Marvel Spider-Man's Tony Revolori. Just make sure to subscribe to help our little channel grow. See you in the next episode.